Like to talk about something that I hear a lot about, this concept that mental blocks just keep coming back. And a lot of the time I hear people say things like, we have tried everything. We have spent so much money, and no matter what we do, the mental blocks keep coming back. The fears keep coming back over and over and over. And my athlete, this is the parent talking, my athlete doesn't want to quit, but the parent wants to quit because it's so stressful, it's so heartbreaking. And the parent is constantly going to the athlete going, are you sure you want to keep doing this? Because they see them in tears and they see them frustrated. And the athlete goes, yes, I want to keep doing this. I love this. So I'm going to tell you today the 3 relationships that you have to have sorted out in order to break through for good. I'm going to also talk about why you haven't broken through yet. So I'm guessing that you've probably tried a lot of things. Maybe you have broken it down into baby steps. This is one of my favorite ways to navigate fear, but it is not the whole answer. So you've probably danced around the solution and gotten really close to it, but you're really only putting band-aids on the problem unless you get to the core issues. So yes, you must break it down and rebuild. For most people, that's a major, major part of the answer. And it's extremely important that you don't just keep forcing it, trying it harder, try harder, force. Instead, you break it down and you start moving through. But that might not be enough for some people. For some, that's great. So if you haven't already, we have a confidence ladder that you can download for free. I'm going to put a link in the notes after I'm done. But even if you break it down, you're going to make progress. But if you don't solve the core issues, then the fear is going to continue to win the battle. So here's some other things you might have tried. Beyond going back to square one and working it up again. You might have tried self-talk, being positive, affirmations, talking to your fear, breathing, relaxation. You might have tried visualizing. You might have, there's some people get really creative. Maybe you have made bets with yourself or your parents or your coaches or your teammates. Maybe there have been bribes. Maybe there have been incentives that might get you doing the skill once or twice, but then eventually stops working and the bets have to get a little bit bigger and better, and the desire is no longer enough. Then we have the chuck and pray method. That's one of my personal favorites. And in the Perform Happy community, we have a live group training, and I'm always like, don't chuck it. They know I'm like, no chuck and pray, no chuck and pray. Because things like that, making bets and kind of forcing yourself to do it, or chuck and pray, meaning, if you don't know what that means, you just do it. It's like, hope I don't die. Here I go. And then you try it, even though your brain is like, no, don't do it. And then the athlete's like, but my coach is going to get mad. I have to do it. You probably tried that. And either nothing works or nothing stays working for long. And then in some people, you let's say you built it up and you used your affirmations and you kind of got through it, but then, oh, shoot, back to square one again. It can be something as simple as a bad day at school, or not enough sleep, or a rude comment from a teammate, or not enough food at lunch that can send your brain into overprotective mode. And if you don't know how to navigate that properly, then it's like you're constantly back to square one. So you have to have the strategies in place that both get your confidence up, but then that prevent the core issues down below from sabotaging you. Okay, so it's kind of twofold. We have to rebuild. You have to know the strategies, your personal strategies that help your confidence go up. Some people, affirmations are really great. Some people, it's imagery. Some people need a really positive environment. Some people need a combination of it. Some people, it's all about their body. If their body doesn't feel good, their mind is not going to cooperate. Some people, it's about emotional control, that the emotions are going to take over. So I know I'm throwing so much at you right now, but everybody has their own little cocktail for building confidence. And that's very, very important. But if you don't solve the core issues, it's not going to be enough and it's not going to last. Okay, so for anybody who's like, I've tried it all and it didn't work and there's no hope, okay, I promise you, there is so much hope. I'm seeing it every single day. But confidence is not the end of the answer. Okay, so there are 3 relationships I mentioned earlier that you must get in check in order to really, permanently or powerfully move through the mental blocks and fears and feel like you're going to have lasting relief. The first relationship is your relationship with the world. Okay, now that sounds super vague, but let me explain. Your relationship with the world. Do you look at the world and go, ugh, worst case scenario is going to happen. I just know it. It's a matter of time. I'm not hurt today, but I'll probably get hurt eventually. Are you pessimistic or are you optimistic where you go, I will get there. Yeah, I'm having a setback right now, but I will get there. I know I will. Are you looking on the bright side? Are you looking for the silver lining? Do you feel like you will get what you want? It's just a matter of time that you're going to keep working and you're not going to give up. You must have optimism and you have to have that sort of positive relationship with the world where you feel like I'm going to be taken care of. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to get through this. I can trust in my coaches. I can trust in myself. I can trust in the process that this is just a low spot and I'm going to be okay. I'm going to get through it. And people who have grit is this concept coined by Angela Duckworth. And it's these people who just keep getting up and they brush themselves off and they try again. And then they face plant and then they get back up and they brush themselves off and they try again. And then they face plant, etc. But they keep getting up. That's what's required in order to really get through this for good. And there's this saying, I think somebody made this up and then I changed it around, but anyway, here's how it goes about grit. Everything works out in the end. This is what gritty people say. Everything works out in the end. And if it's not working out, it's not the end. So if you have that relationship with the world, then you have one of the core issues solved that can help keep your confidence where it needs to be. Then the second relationship is your relationship with your fear. So in order to have lasting freedom from the mental block, heartbreaking awfulness, is that you have to understand why your fear is there and then learn to use it for your benefit. Learn why is my body having this reaction? Why are my thoughts doing this? What is going on here? And then use it to benefit you. People who are attracted to scary movies and roller coasters and haunted houses, which is not most of the people that I work with. Roller coasters is one thing, but I don't particularly love to get scared, but there are people who do love to get scared because when they're scared, their mind is quiet. Because when you're in that fight or flight fear space, you're not worrying, you're not overthinking, so now I know you're like, wait, but I do overthink before my fear. That's beforehand. A lot of the time people get stuck in the what could go wrong? And that builds up this massive amount of fear that prevents them from even doing the scary thing. Versus if you do something that you know is safe, but it feels scary, you can get a system in place to get yourself ready to go. You actually get this peace and calm that comes as a result of the fear. I know that sounds strange, but as a result of the fear, you actually are able to have a feeling of relief and peace and calm around your skills. So it's not that we get the fear to necessarily disappear. It's that we create a relationship with it that allows you to work with it instead of resisting it. Okay, so we start moving through methodically. We go one step at a time. We work with your brain's needs. If your brain is not going to let you go, we don't force it. We don't just try harder. We have to be methodical about it. We move through in a way that's going to allow your brain to sort of desensitize and ease and start to feel like it might be okay. We work with your fear, not against it. And we come up with your personal way to build confidence. Then we use it to your benefit. Okay, so that's the second relationship. You got to have a relationship with the world that is optimistic, that you're not going to just give up, that you feel hopeful. If you're thinking there's no hope, I've tried everything, it's not possible, then okay, why are you even listening? Why are you even here? Because if you don't think there's any hope, then there's not. You're right. But if you feel like there's hope, maybe, just maybe, and you can be just a little optimistic, like, well, maybe I could get through this. And then you build this relationship with your fear where you respect it and you work together with it. Then we can build to the actual super central core issue, which is your relationship with yourself. Okay, there are four aspects of your relationship with yourself that you have to get right in order to have the core and the middle and the exterior and the foundation. Okay, I'm like building a planet or a cake or something here. But the central, most important factor here is your relationship with yourself. So this most often happens to perfectionists. Your perfectionism is not doing you any favors. It's definitely part of the problem. So if you consider yourself a perfectionist, like I formerly am, I no longer consider myself a perfectionist, then you need to work on things like patience. Having patience for yourself. If you are a perfectionist, then you want it now and you want it perfect and nothing else will do. And everything else feels like failure. And so then you're talking to yourself like you're a failure. You're not giving yourself any benefit of the doubt, no slack, no patience. And patience is so critical for this rebuilding process, because if you're impatient and you're not kind to yourself and you feel like you're failing, then you are just reinforcing, I'm a failure, I'm a failure, I'm a failure, I'm a failure, I'm a failure. And if that is all your brain is hearing from you, even if you're making successful progressions, your confidence is not going to increase. And it's definitely not going to stay high because you are not going to get perfect. I hate to break it to you. So you have to let go of that. Then you also need to address self-worth. Okay, self-worth, that feeling like you are worthy of having an opinion. You are worthy of standing up for yourself. You are worthy of success. If you don't inherently believe that, and I know I sure as heck did not until like for the last, I don't know, decade, from 12 to 22, I had no shred of self-worth. I had a lot of ego, like, oh, I'm great, I'm great, I'm great. But I did not believe that I was worthy of success. So I consistently undermined myself. And if you don't have self-worth, then you don't want to communicate. You don't want to ask for what you need. You don't want to give consent. And so here's the thing with sports like gymnastics, with sports like diving, like figure skating, where they're scary and maybe even potentially dangerous. You have to be the athlete. You have to be given your consent all day, every day. Yes, I will try this. No, I will not try this. And if your coach is telling you to do something that legitimately does not feel safe, you must be able to say, I don't feel ready for that. And if you don't have self-worth, you won't be able to. And you'll just go, okay, and you'll try. And then because of the perfectionism, you will feel like a failure. And then it just continues. So no matter if you're building up success, you're trying to be positive, if these things aren't dealt with, you're going to continue to stay stuck. Okay, there's two more things beneath the relationship with yourself category that are worth mentioning. One is self-belief. So we talked about self-worth. If you don't feel like you're worthy of speaking up and being, standing in your truth, even if it goes against what somebody else thinks, you're gonna get yourself into trouble. If you don't believe in yourself, then you're not going to be able to trust your training and trust your body to do its job. And then the last one is self-trust. So if you don't trust yourself, you're going to constantly feel like you need to think harder and try harder, which is actually what's undermining your success as well. Okay, so quick recap here. The three relationships that you have to have control over in order to get through mental blocks for good are your relationship with the world, your relationship with fear, and your relationship with yourself. So those are the things that I did not have growing up, and it is my mission to give them to you, to give them to your kid, to give them to you if you're the athlete. Because yes, we can rebuild a skill, but it's going to fall apart and it's going to crumble if you don't address what's lying underneath. So that's it for me today. If you feel like you're totally hopeless, I know you don't, because you're still here. You're still with me. So I know that there's hope there. Don't give up on it. Just make a commitment. I'm going to address it at all levels. And I will see you again soon. Thanks for joining me.